Hey y'all. So according to BET.com, Joe Budden is no longer catering to his Latina, Cyn Santana. Apparently, allegedly, they have broken up. Some of the blogs also reported last night that Cyn was no longer following Joe on Instagram, and Joe was no longer following Cyn. And I guess that's how people know that folks have broken up these days. Go figure. I guess I'm in my 40s. I ain't never heard of no mess like that. But apparently that's how people know that they're no longer together because they're no longer following each other. Which is shocking to me because, like I said, I remember when Cyn was just like how black men love Latinas and how they just cater to them and all this other stuff. And you know, Joe has a thing for Latinas, right? He has a thing for them. And so, yeah, I'm just going to chalk this up as a rumor simply because I know how Mona Scott Young works, and this could just be for a storyline. It's amazing to me what people will literally do to get put on TV and for a little check. They will fake breakups. They will fake babies, side babies. They will fake side pieces, all for the sake of reality television. So until one of them come out and say that they are no longer together, I'm just going to chalk it up as rumor and leave it at that. Now, it was all good just a week ago because I recall seeing Cyn on Joe's Insta story. So I am a little surprised that they are supposedly no longer together. But then again, when I look back on their relationship, I honestly am surprised it lasted this long. Now, they got engaged about 4 months ago. And when I have listened in on Joe's podcast, I've always gotten this feeling that he was basically sick of her shit. I mean, the old saying, show me a pretty girl and I'll show you a man who's tired of her. Well, that was always how I thought of Joe and Cyn. Very, very pretty girl, by the way. But I've always had the feeling like, based on how he talks about her, he's just tired of her. He loves her. I know he loves her. But I don't think he likes her very much. Some of y'all can understand what I'm trying to say. Some of y'all know what I'm trying to say exactly. She don't cook. She don't clean. And he make little jabs at her here and there. And you could just tell he just tired of it. It's like she literally doesn't do anything. She probably sits around all day not doing nothing. You come home and the house is a wreck, but they have a little baby. You get a little leeway with that, but at the same time, before there was a baby, she didn't cook and she didn't clean the house. So I don't know if that's a real excuse for her, but also they are very different in age. Cyn is around 26 and Joe is about to be 39. You can just tell they don't have anything in common. They seem so different. She's young. She still want to go out and party, and that's fine. That's what she's well within her right to feel that way. But Joe is a curmudgeon. He's a homebody. He don't seem to like anybody. All right. So they're very, very different. And somehow they made it work all this time. But, after a baby comes along, that can change the dynamics of any relationship. And like I said, I've always had this feeling like he loves her, but he don't like her very much. Like he just tired of her shit. And I could see that. I could see that between Joe and Cyn. Okay. She's very much into herself. She's very vain. You could just see every picture is this, is fashion over this, fashion over that. And just Joe is just on a different wavelength. Obviously his podcast is doing well and he's just more cerebral than Cyn. And I just don't see how they even have conversations. I just don't even know what their conversations could possibly be about. But like I said, I'm just going to take this with a grain of salt because I know Mona Scott Young, she worked hard. And she be making sure that her storylines are tight and right. So I'm just going to chalk it up to that. Although I do remember when Love and Hip Hop New York was on and Erica Mena had got into it a little bit on Twitter, talking about Joe. She mentioned how Joe was bringing women over to Safari's house, because Erica Mena is Cyn's ex. And Safari and Erica Mena are together now. And so I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's true. Who really knows? You You got to watch those that protest a little too hard about my baby this and my fiance that and my fiance that. And that's every time you listen to Joe, my fiance this, my fiance that. I love my fiance. I love her, I love her, I love her. You got to watch those that do a little bit too much of that. So anyway, I'm just going to keep my eyes on this one and see if it's true or if this is just a storyline. You know how Mona works.